Yasmine, have you looked in the mirror lately? Like, you're like that person that still sings Christmas songs in January.
I love Halloween. I start celebrating Halloween in August. I'm not even going to lie to you. I do. I really do start celebrating Halloween in August. And I've got no shame.
I don't think I've ever stopped celebrating Halloween. I was raised on TV shows like Charmed. So it is like Buffy, Charmed, all of those. I am 24/7.
The big three.
Wait, what's the third one?
Buffy, Charmed, Sabrina.
Yeah, Sabrina. Yep, watched that as a kid too. Okay, cool.
Get real. Okay. But I got told the other day that you have to wait till October to celebrate Halloween, and I was like, that's just not true.
What colour wearing, pop listening, absolute heathen told you that?
I know, because people sing Christmas songs in July, so I will be celebrating Halloween all year round. Because my life is quite scary as well, so.
Hello and welcome to On Wednesdays We Wear Black with me, Sophie K, and Yasmine Summer.
Hello, it's me. Hi.
Hello, Yasmine. Hi. How are you today?
I have indigestion.
Okay. That's because you hit 25 and you're on your way to 30 now. So welcome to the club. And then you'll start going to the doctors for it, and they'll start giving you heartburn medication, and you'll start having to take medicines for it, but it doesn't really work. And then it becomes a topic of conversation that you just generally have with your friends. And you're like, do you know what? I've got the worst heartburn. And then you all just start sharing about your medical problems. And that is what happens. Welcome.
What if I just die instead?
That also happens too, but we won't go too much into that. So on this episode today, we are going to be discussing bands that got called sellouts.
So many bands get called sellouts, though. I feel like that is the classic insult where people are like, sell out. As soon as a band hits any kind of success or fame, they're a sellout.
Any kind of success or fame.
We've been called sellouts. Woohoo!
Woohoo! We're successful.
We need it. Yeah, we did sell out.
People, I mean, the fact that I've always worked on mainstream media kind of says that I was a sellout from the start, but okay.
Listen, I will happily take money, okay? Okay? I've always said, if the KKK want to sponsor us.
No, Yasmine, no. We would not take any sponsorship from them.
If J.K. Rowling was like, take some money, I'd be like, well, I feel like I'm the only person who can really take your money, so... We Wear Black, proudly sponsored by
J.K. Rowling. Oh my god,
J.K.K. Rowling.
No, because I would get it. I would get it in the neck, and it'd be like, Yasmine can do no wrong, but Sophie is a transphobe. Anyway, this episode all about sellouts, and it's interesting, Yasmine, looking at sellouts, because have you ever accused a band of selling out?
Do you know what? I need to raise my hand and say a confession. I have been that person to
dear father.
Bands. What were you singing? Do you think you were going to sing Pierce of Ale? But I
think I was trying to sing Pierce of Ale, but I forgot the words, so I just bailed.
Mary,
Hail Mary, that's it.
I know this word for word. When I'm on my deathbed, the last words you'll hear from me is the entire verse.
Have you never noticed that when we do that live at a DJ set, I kind of join you for the first part, and then it starts like waxing lyrical, and I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah,
for this part.
when
and
they do the, I just point at you, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I just point at you, and you're
band,
just like
band for band, breath for breath. I know when they stop breathing and start breathing in parts of that song. Anyway, I have called bands sellouts because I was like, a teenager, and I was jaded and like, oh, my favorite band has changed. They've sold out. And then I got past the age of 18 and realised, actually, all bands change. That's kind of how bands work.
Yeah, things have to evolve. Unless you're like AC/DC, things have to evolve. They have to change. Your sound's going to change. I won't lie. I was very hurt. I didn't call them sellouts, but I was very hurt when Opeth changed their sound and went more proggy. I felt personally betrayed. So I can understand how people can end up doing that. Have I called people sellouts? Yes. I'm not sure I can say who, though.
I'll say I've called Paramore and Bring Me the Horizon sellouts, not online, probably just like when Paramore released After Laughter and when Bring Me released That's the Spirit, I was like, ugh, they're selling out, I hate them. And then I loved both albums. Like After Laughter got me through some of the worst times of my life.
It's interesting because when you think of a sellout, I guess I can identify with it very heavily as a concept. What I don't identify with is trying to call out the band. Like reaching out to their personals and calling them out publicly. It's just like, oh, okay, they've changed their sound. They're trying to be more commercial. Yeah, fair. I can understand. Because it's a bit like going to your weekend job and working as, I don't know, a server and then being angry at somebody when they take a when they go for a pay rise and try and get a higher paid job?
Yeah.
Like, or do you just want that person to be earning minimum wage for forever because that makes you happier?
Right.
Like,
do you not want your favourite bands to blow up and do well, or do you just want them to be losers forever? Losers in their mum's basement forever?
do you not want them to make money? And this goes back to a video I saw with Finn McKinty. He spoke about how metalheads fit into crab theory, which I found fascinating. And it's when you put a load of crabs in a bucket, when one starts to escape, all the other crabs reach up and pull the other one back down, because they're all trying to escape and grab at whatever. And in doing so, they pull each other down constantly. And so no crabs escape from the bucket because they're all keeping each other in.
That reminds me so much of metal.
Right? Like a band starts to make it and everyone else is trying to claw at them to bring them back down. It is our scene to a T.
Do you know what's worse? Other bands clawing at bands for trying to get out. I'm like, you're going to have to do the same thing in 5 years, babe.
Yeah, you can't just live, like there's a point at which you get into a relationship, you have kids, whatever it might be, you've got to bring home money. You can't just be going and touring for like bargain.
No.
Like you don't want to do that anymore. You get to an age, like there is only so much food exposure points can pay for. And that is zero.
There's only so much free pizza and mouldy beer that you can get through. Also, you spoke about having a weekend job. I obviously also understand that, but I just think it's really funny to talk about a weekend job in the music industry, because let's be real, a lot of musicians haven't had to work a weekend job because they're what? Nepo babies!
Rich parents will help you through a lot.
Babies!
Facts, Yasmine.
I would love to go to Nepo babies and be like, have you ever been yelled at by somebody at like midday because you got their order wrong? Have you ever been yelled at, like, in front of an entire crowd of people?
What's the worst thing that's happened to you at a weekend job?
I worked a bar job, a really, really crappy bar job. They paid me £35 a night, under the table. Very illegal, and also, like, worked terrible hours. But when I was there, this girl left her drink out on the sink while she went to pee, and I came into the bathroom to clean, and I went, is anybody's drinks here? You know, I'll keep them safe. I won't touch them. I just want to make sure so I don't throw them away. And she went, no, my drink's in the bathroom with me. And I went, are you sure? And she went, yep. She came out, nodded, came back in. I threw all the drinks in the bin. And then she went, wait, no, that's my drink. And started yelling at me, screaming at me. And this was just as the club opened. And grabbed me by the hand and took me downstairs and took me to my manager and went, I need a free drink. And my manager laughed in her face.
Well, I had, when I went to a pizza shop, my manager threw a chocolate cake at my head because I got an order wrong.
Oh.
Which I think was a bit extreme, but he was known for having a bad temper, so...
It's always the worst people with the worst tempers in managerial positions. Why?
Always.
Why?
Why?
Why are they so angry?
Why are they so angry?
It's like, it's midday and you're sending me an angry text message. What the fuck is that about?
Yeah, I remember once I was so sick, my doctor told me I couldn't work because I'd gone down to 50% lung capacity. And I was on these like tablets that made me feel even worse, so I'd get really emotional. And my manager told me that if I didn't come in because it was a Saturday, I would get fired.
I hate that. But also, my friend had something similar where
Really?
basically... They like their teeth, they had a wisdom tooth coming through and their mouth was full of blood. So they had to take a photo, send it to the boss and go, I'm not coming in because I got a mouthful of blood. And then the boss was like, oh no.
Wow.
Crazy.
Wow. Do you know, right? Here's a thing that I have discovered. If you work for a company that pays for your sick days, I'm freelance, so I don't get that. But if you do, your company has a budget set aside for you to take sick days. So when you don't take those sick days, you're just increasing their profits because they've already got that money set aside for you. So take the sick days.
Take the sick days. I love taking a sick day.
I bet you do.
Love taking a sick day.
My childhood trauma gives me too much guilt, Yasmine. When I call in sick, it doesn't matter. I could be dying. I still feel so good. I feel like I'm lying.
No, I'm very like, I'm sick. Don't call me. Don't text me.
I know.
And if anyone looks at me, I'll kick off. Yeah,
that sounds about right. Okay, so sellouts. Do you want to start with our first band that are accused of being sellouts, Yasmine? Because this is an interesting topic. And just to go back a little bit, this is a topic that a lot of different bands have had dalliances with. So, for example, Machine Gun Kelly called his album Mainstream Sellout.
Yeah, but he did sell out.
Did he sell out? Because he was never part of the rock community anyway. He just jumped ship.
Yeah, and sold out.
Would you call him I would say that he never sold out because he never had credit to sell out. Do you know what I mean? Like, he never had the shares to cash in to sell out.
He was actually just not relevant.
He was just like...
Stop it. He couldn't even sell in, girl. He couldn't even trade in.
It shouldn't have been mainstream sellout. It should have just been born sellout.
Yeah, bored and selling out.
Yeah, and then also Atreyu had a song called Sellout as well. So it's something that people, play around with. And I think it's a lot of bands get it. Who is your first band, Yasmine?
So, do you know, this was one that shocked me, right? Because I can't understand how they are selling out. People have accused Spirit Box of being sellouts. Because if you don't know, Spirit Box, before they were Spirit Box, the previous members, some of them were in a band called I Wrestled a Bear Once. And I Wrestled a Bear Once didn't do as well as Spirit Box is doing. It was very crabcore, metalcore, very early 2010s, quirky, weird, like gimmicky, right? Whereas I think Spirit Box is a much more fully fledged, like serious band that has weight and like has a varied catalogue.
I wouldn't have called them gimmicky, but I hear what you're saying.
They did a music video in Power Ranger outfits.
Yeah, they were but that was just the deathcore era. Like, everything was highly coloured and everything was quote unquote gimmicky, even down to Parkway Drive doing a video on the beach in flip-flops. But anyway, I hear what you're saying. But yeah, like, it was a silly era.
It was a silly era, but people say that Courtney LaPlante in particular has sold out, especially because of the success of Spirit Box. So they got signed to Rock Nation, which it's Jay-Z's record label. He takes care of a lot of amazing artists like Megan Thee Stallion. They obviously did a song with Megan Thee Stallion, and 99.9% of people were very happy. Some incels on Reddit were like, ugh, sell it out to the mainstream, becoming part of the Illuminati. Spirit Box should be collabing with smaller artists in the scene. No, Spirit Box should be getting that fucking bag. I'm sorry, if Megan Thee Stallion came to me and was like, do you want to do a song together? I'd be like, yeah, and I actually have no notes. I'll do whatever the fuck you want.
When a rock fan's going to realise that rock and metal is a small scene in the world of music, Megan Thee Stallion is big in the world of music. And so Megan Thee Stallion is lifting up a small band. It's not Spirit Box lifting up the Stallion. Do you know what I mean? It's like
Miss Stallion herself.
They're not raising her profile. She's raising theirs. She's so much bigger than pretty much most of the bands in our scene.
I know.
People forget that.
I hate when people do that. Like, it was similar to when Linkin Park and Jay-Z did their collab. Even people had an issue with that. And they were like, oh, new metal, rock and metal, shouldn't go with rap. But it was like, it was so, like, I still listen to that entire collaborative EP to this day. Like, it had such a profound impact. And I still listen to the Megan Thee Stallion Spirit Box remix.
Well, people still have a go. People have a go at Courtney LaPlante for dancing on stage because
my god!
And it's because like the men don't dance, and therefore as a woman in this space you have to act like the men. And like, what is wrong if she's having a little boogie?
I tell you what, right? Women in alternative music for so many years had to act like dudes and like get on their level, be super tough, be super macho, not cry, like not care about their periods, not moan about anything and be like super grrr. I like if the roles reversed. I think men should be shaking ass. I want to see you throw it back, okay? I want to see girly pop dancing. I think more people should dance on stage. I love the fact that Courtney does her little silly dances. More people should do that. I want to see men in deathcore, in the deathcore booty shorts they're selling, shaking some fucking ass, okay? Do something useful.
Do you know what? I always used to have a lot of respect for Trevor from Black Dahlia Murder. R.I.P. Trev. He was an amazing champion for the scene. I knew him. He did not care. He would just take his top off anywhere and everywhere and just, have fun on stage. But then people used to come for them for that as well, because people just love to gatekeep. And I guess that's what selling out is. The sellout thing is a way to gatekeep bands, right?
Yeah, like people still want Spirit Box to be these like this small micro band, but like they're a Rock Nation band, okay? They're getting bans because they're a Rock Nation band. Courtney did an interview with NME in 2023 where she said, our fans are accepting our change, but we're still figuring it out ourselves. And I thought that was really interesting. They're still figuring it out. Like, I think they're going through that journey right now of discovering who they are and what Spirit Box looks like. And it's a shame that people are already calling them sellouts because they're not. They're literally just reaping the benefits of their success.
Exactly. Thank you. Well said, Yasmine. Who's next on your list?
The next person on my list, hold on, is Bring Me the Horizon. Sellouts? Are Bring Me the Horizon sellouts? That's the question.
Do you know what? I would say yes, but fair on them because they've done it well.
So
they did what a lot of bands couldn't.
Let me really get nerdy for a second. So in the mid 2010s, Bring Me the Horizon dropped That's the Spirit, right? And it was such a pivot from their previous album, Sempiternal, and the music they'd done before. They went from deathcore-ish in the first album to solid metalcore in the second album to metalcore, but it's like with masks, and it was like pre-Sleep Token. And then they did Sempiternal, which was metalcore. But then That's the Spirit was like, it was like radio rock. It was radio rock. But you know what?
Yeah.
It sounded good. And that was the first time people absolutely slandered them for it, myself included. But it was the first time. Sometimes it really be your own people that are disrespecting you, myself included. That was the first time I've ever heard a rock band on the radio, like on the mainstream radio, not on the rock
in
show,
the UK. Yeah,
not on like a rock radio station, on mainstream radio UK.
Because you didn't grow up in the 2000s listening to. You were too young to listen to radio, so you wouldn't have heard the Linkin Parks and that whole new metal era.
It was like I remember they played Super Bass by Nicki Minaj and then followed it up with That's the Spirit.
Amazing.
And I was like, that's so weird. Like, I can't believe Bring Me the Horizon are at that level. And I feel like so many people gave them shit. So many other bands, right? So many other bands gave them shit, but then did the exact same thing, right? They all then pivoted to being radio friendly because it worked for them. It got them more streams. It got them more sales. And then they were like, oh, we're making more money. This is great. Bring Me the Horizon opened the gateway for more bands to do that. And it became more commercially viable.
That's the thing that I think annoys me the most is you get all of these like bands chatting shit, but it's just because someone's been successful at what they've been trying to do.
I will see you in 2 years doing the same fucking thing. Be real. Be real. And also, I feel like as well, at that time when they released That's the Spirit, you had like the Tumblr grunge, like indie rock kind of vibe going on. You had like the 1975, Arctic Monkeys, Lana Del Rey, all of that going on. I feel like rock itself wasn't offering to that, and Bring Me the Horizon did give their contributions and help bridge that way from like mainstream indie to rock.
Yeah, agreed. And they did like, there was a stage show that they 100%, like even the way Ollie started dressing, you could see inspiration from the 1975, but I think that's what they were trying to do, was like look at the mainstream, what was going on, and take inspiration from that.
It's quite interesting because I read a piece, I went on a deep dive, and this is an article from Louder in 2016. Bring Me the Horizon radio-friendly music is no sellout, says Ollie Sykes. Ollie Sykes insists that Bring Me the Horizon's recent move towards a radio-friendly sound isn't the case of the band selling out. That's because they're making the music they've always wanted to make. Bring Me the Horizon released their 5th album, That's the Spirit, in September. It hit number 1 on the UK rock charts across the world and narrowly missed out topping the UK's mainstream charts, right? That's come on. He told BBC Radio 1, we always wanted to be this catchiest, heaviest band. It wasn't intentional to become an A-list radio band. It was just the music we like. Period. You know what? I respect that.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that fully, but yeah, I hear what you're saying, Yasmine. I think bands don't admit sometimes that they themselves have evolved, and it's not the fact that they've never made the music they wanted to make and everything we made was inauthentic. It's just like, we've evolved and this is the music we want to make today. That's I think not enough bands own up to that. They always go, this album is more us than we've ever been. No, it's just you're feeling happy about it right now because you're sick of playing those other songs live every single night, and you've got sick of them, and you've forgotten that when you released that album you actually liked those songs.
Yeah, but also, so when they released Ammo, I remember like it stuck in my mind. It was such a good cover. I really, like, as a journalist, proper nerded out about it. Ollie Sykes and Sam Carter did a joint cover for Kerrang, and the interview they did was really interesting because they both came up at the same time. They both had peak success at the same time, and they were both like castrated by gatekeepers for being sellouts, right? So they said in conversation for Kerrang, Ollie said it totally is. What we're trying to do with All Points is say, forget about the scene. The bands that will preserve our bands who are just making good music are doing something interesting. And because of that, I think there could be a resurgence of rock. Now, this was like 2018, 2019, and there was a resurgence of rock. So he was on the money. Rock's not going anywhere. It was just lagging behind in terms of progression. And I think it's time for audiences to become more open-minded. And then Sam said, if you look at bands like Arctic Monkeys of the 1975 or Bring Me, they've all released different albums to what they were doing before, and they've all gone number one. They're all pushing themselves creatively and made something amazing that people aren't sure of at first, but then love. Interesting.
Do you know what? I've always said Ollie Sykes is a very smart businessman. I really do think he is. And I think he's very finger on the pulse of what is going on in the scene.
He actually said in this interview, on being accused of selling out, he said, doing what you do is fucking hard. It's not easy. I'm not selling out. I can write a breakdown in my sleep, but I want to challenge myself. And I respect that.
I respect that, yeah.
He could just write another breakdown in his sleep. But he was like, no, I'll do this because it like is beneficial to our band and beneficial to me.
And there is a point in rock that you have to accept you've hit a glass ceiling. And even though you're fans that you've got already, like, they love you making that sound. If you're going to get any bigger, unless you're AC/DC or Rolling Stones or someone like that, in this day and age, you have to evolve to bring in new fans. That's just the way it works. And I can see why Architects evolved the way they did. Mm-hmm. And yet they got called sellouts all the time, didn't they?
They got called sellouts so much. They got called, like, if you were a fan of Architects in 2018, 2019, you remembered when they put out those new albums. Oh my god! Fighting for your life in the comment section. It was a tough time.
People just wanted a bleh. That's what they wanted. They just wanted a bleh, and it's like, how many blehs do you need to hear? Like,
how many more blehs can we get?
Given you that, like,
okay. Let them do something fun. Fuck
let them try something. Let Sam Carter wear eyeliner if he wants to wear eyeliner.
I know. God forbid a man wear eyeliner. More men need to wear eyeliner. Like Pete Wentz did it in the 2000s. I want to see you. Like, I think we're in a slutty man era, and I respect it. As a lesbian, I respect it. I'm seeing men in crop tops. I want to see more men in eyeliner and booty shorts.
The booty shorts. You do you.
Yeah. Men
I don't know if I don't want to see the singers of my. I don't want to see Rob Flynn in booty shorts. I love you, Rob Flynn, and I respect you, Rob Flynn. But do you know what I'm going to say? Is everybody just do what you want to do. Sometimes accept that some fashions might not be your style.
We did a reaction video to Machine Head on YouTube, and I can't tell you how many people reached out to me for your Sean Paul, Rob Flynn crossover impression. Robber Flynn. Robber Flynn. Machine Head.
That came from like pure rage. Yeah. So many people messaged me that.
Robber Flynn. When I see Machine Head now, I'm just going to think that. Like, this poor man is going to be performing and I'm going to go, Robber Flynn!
Yasmine, sometimes I forget the platform that we are on. Did you see that the vocalist from Fire from the Gods, who's friends with Rob Flynn, tagged Rob Flynn in? That sometimes I forget that there's you calling Rob Flynn Jean-Paul, and he's tagged in. He's tagged in. And he will have seen.
Rob, let me apologise. Rob, I'm very sorry.
He didn't like it, Yasmine. He didn't like the video.
Rob, I was born in 1999. Okay, I'm a baby. I'm as old as Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park is, right? I'm very new. I have my own understanding of metal and alternative music. But Sophie is helping to educate me, so I am sorry that I called you Metal Sean Paul. It is just those braids you had, man. But they looked good. They looked tight. Do you know what? They looked like they were actually braided properly. They didn't look like they were haphazardly braided. They looked like they were.
Look at you trying to get out of it now.
In there.
We've done the damage. We have done the damage. It is done. Rob's probably seen it. Now he hates us, and you've taken me with you on your little Gen Z thing.
I'm sorry. I'm going to have to post this on social media. Rob, here's my public apology, okay? You're not Robert Flynn. But if you ever did a side career as like a...
No, stop that! No, you said it!
A reggae singer, call him Robert Flynn. I would fully support you. I would be front row.
Okay, let's move on to the next
Machine
band
head.
that have been called a sellout. So Yasmine, the band that I looked into is a band that I associate with being called a sellout the hardest, and that is Metallica.
Yeah.
I actually, in all honesty, because I was late to rock and metal, like I dabbled in it, but becoming obsessed with it, I was quite late. So I wanted to find out exactly why. And there's a few reasons that I found out here. Metallica are probably the most famous band for being called a sellout. And they were called the poster boys for musical unintegrity after many people, including their fans, incorrectly thought that the band were attempting to sue fans who downloaded music through Napster. If you don't know and you're listening, we should probably do an episode on this, actually, because this is a whole episode. So Napster was a platform where you could download music off the internet. And it meant that it cut out the bands because you're not paying anybody. You're getting it for free. So like, let's say I buy a CD, I can upload it on my computer and share it with the world. We know streaming has massively affected bands. But when they first did that, Metallica tried to stand up for the bands and say, look, we need to be earning some money. By the way, they were correct.
They were correct.
Look at the state of the music industry now, and we've not got as many good bands anymore because they can't make money, but that's a side topic. So, yeah, so their fans spread that rumour and came for them.
Really?
Really?
I thought they were called sellouts because of the fact that they have merch everywhere. Like their merch is now just licensed for anyone to ever make.
Well, that's later. But also, when the Black Album was released, that was like, it was a bit of a step away from that traditional thrash sound that Metallica had historically had. So they released the Black Album. It becomes one of the biggest albums ever. And it's interesting because Bob Rock, who was the producer of that album, said that the band wanted to make the leap to big leagues. So what ended up happening is some of the Metallica fans ended up blaming Bob Rock, who was the producer, started a petition to try and stop Metallica from ever working with Bob Rock again. I mean,
I love when you explain stuff and I'm just sat here going, yeah, there's words coming out your mouth, but I don't know what they mean. That's crazy, though. A petition.
No, did you not understand what I just said?
With the producer, that's crazy.
So, because the producer had done a lot of big rock albums, so they did not want Metallica working with him anymore. Imagine that. And this is before the internet. So people are doing this petition with clipboards at gigs and things like that.
Shut up. What do you mean you're at a gig? Babe, I can't talk to you tonight. I've got to go petition outside of the local gig to make sure Metallica don't work with this producer. Grow up. I'm so glad to know that incels existed even before the internet. It's so nice to know. What were you doing in your heyday, Grandpa? I was petitioning for a producer to not really produce an album from a band that don't know I exist. Wow, Grandpa, that's so interesting.
The other reason that the fans tried to cancel Metallica is because after the Black Album, they cut their hair. I know, right? This is how much power the image had back in the day. Because they cut their hair, I believe it was in the 90s. I'm guessing at that there. People were like, no, you're a sellout.
God forbid men style their hair. God forbid men have swag. God forbid they have drip. That's crazy. Anytime people make fun of me for being a fangirl, I'll be like, grown men wept when Metallica cut their hair. Wept. They took to the streets and petitioned. They took to the streets and rioted.
I wonder if it was the equivalent for men as when I remember feeling pretty betrayed by Beyonce when she lost a load of weight and then had pictures where she looked like she bleached her skin. Because she was like, I don't think you're ready for this jelly. And I was like, yeah, she's celebrating us like girls with the thick thighs and blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, oh, I've lost loads of weight. And that hurt on a personal level. So I wonder if for men, it was the same thing when they cut their hair.
Maybe.
Then I didn't start a petition for Beyonce to put weight on again. So there we go. But you're right as well. T-shirts in mainstream stores is definitely something people get
so mad at bands for doing that, but like, why wouldn't you want more merch to be accessible? I am all for it. Like, get the merch in the big stores because sometimes you can get a really nice cut or a really nice. I threw away an old Motorhead shirt when I threw away my T-shirts, and it was like all like chainmail. It was amazing, and you could never get that at a merch. Did you see that?
Korn had a t-shirt at their Gunnersbury Park gig, which happened here in the UK. Huge, massive gig, like, and they had a Gunnersbury Park t-shirt that was like a mesh t-shirt, £100. That's about what, $130 if you're listening in the US. £100.
We've taken the girly pop too far. We've girly popped too close to the sun, I fear.
That's exactly what's happened.
Too close to the sun.
In the conclusion to that episode, if you want to get in touch with us,
you can message us at WeWearBlackPod on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, or you can email us, WeWearBlackPod@gmail.com. I'm at Yasmine Sumanex on everything, and you can sometimes see my dog who's in the background. Hey, Sunny, if you're watching us on YouTube. And if you're not watching us on YouTube, watch us on YouTube. Listen to the podcast and then watch us again on YouTube, because you can do both now. Did you know that?
You can do both. Just head to Notfest YouTube page. And if you want to follow me, it's at I am Sophie K. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Bye.